working for Don Owen, it's where maybe you get like your first decent push. You're doing the tags with Nick Kozak, who got injured,
Yeah, right.
and
Yeah.
then you get like the little.
I was fortunate. By this time, I'd been to Hawaii once, and I've been to Hawaii twice actually, and and now and I'm getting a push up on top and working in Don's territory, and which was good. And I enjoyed it, and it's in aspirations aspects. You always quote. Prefer to be working on top if you can. I mean, that was the ultimate goal, and then to get as much longevity out of things as you could,
Your tag team partner being injured, did that affect your position in the territory?
Slight bit. I mean, things change constantly in a territory. People leave, people come in, and the promoter is always trying to mix the stew to make it as tasty as possible, and so some things to go out and some things go back into the stew.
Any other fond memories working up Pacific Northwest?
Oh, just my wife and Byer's wife we all got into salmon fishing on the rivers up there, and I had this boat. And I remember one time we come home from a town someplace, and we get home about 4:30 a.m. And here's our wives sitting there with the coffee jugs and the sandwiches already made, and so they're sitting there waiting for us. So we went out, hooked up the boat, took the boat down the river, and got into the river and went to our place where we got to do the fishing. And Dick and I went like this in the boat, and fell asleep, and they're fishing, So I mean, wow, Now one time I think we were in the car together for a week. So when he dropped me off, I says, Dick, you're coming over to my house for dinner this week? He says, no. I'm coming over to your house for dinner this week? He says, no. I said, we're not going to see each other until next week? He says, yeah. I says, get the fuck out of the car. I am sick and tired of having to listen to you, smell you, put up with your shit. And he says, ditto.
After that, you returned to Hawaii. Then I think you went to L.A. in '65 for a brief period.
Let me think now. 65. Yeah, I did. And that would have been about the time that my first marriage possibly was starting to fall apart. And so it was in Los Angeles then at that time.
Was it due to wrestling or?
No, it was due to the fact that we were having domestic problems, and that was our home and her home, and kind of contemplated. I was having doubts as to whether or not the wrestling profession was what I wanted to be doing or whatever, and what have you. And when you go through something as tumultuous as a divorce or a family falling apart, and especially because I had two daughters that I loved very much and still do, everything becomes upside down, and you're questioning everything you do and everything you say and everything you act. Yeah. So.
Some of the guys that you came across during the run in LA, Billy Red Lions.
Billy Red Lions was a tremendous worker and a tremendous athlete and real solid performer and very nice person. Just really one of the, there's there were not very many that I personally didn't care to be around. It would be tough for me to, I could probably give you a couple of names, but I mean, most of them I liked. The nature of the profession was what you had to learn to share by stepping into the ring with somebody and trying to accomplish something by stepping into the ring with somebody. You start to, most a-holes, most assholes, they don't survive that well because you get rid of them. Who needs it?
Yeah. Especially more than now.
Yes, I would say so. Oh yeah, sure, because everybody had a lot more free independence. Everybody could go someplace else, do something else, because you could go to all the different territories.
How about Lonnie Main?
I didn't spend that much time around Lonnie
Mhm.
that I could really give an honest to God and goodness, opinion.
66, you get the opportunity to work. I think Australia. I think Barnett set it up, and
Yeah,
maybe Johnny Doyle.
I went to Australia 2 times. Truly enjoyed myself because by that time, my ex and I had decided, we were going to go this separate way. We weren't, I don't think, officially divorced yet, but I mean, we were, and as I kind of told her, whatever it is you feel you need in your life, fine, go find it, and likewise. And so, and Australia was a beautiful place from the aspect of somebody who still had a lot of testosterone running through their body. Australian women were truly fun and unique in the sense that they were really ahead of the American women. They were ballsy gals who said what they thought and felt and weren't afraid to express themselves and you didn't have no BS. And if they liked you, they'll let you know they like you. I mean, they may take you to bed, instead of you taking them, so to speak, or, but it was a fun trip. Enjoyed myself tremendously. Went back there a second time, and enjoyed that as well.
What was the territory like working Australia?
Well, you worked the whole territory. You worked Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, which was like going from New York to L.A., Melbourne, which was like, say, Atlanta was, so to speak, looking at the geographical map. And then you had the major cities every week and then a few spot shows here and there. Brisbane, but it was a fun, real fun time. Aussies, strange, real fun-loving, unique group. Remember one time we had a limousine that took us on Saturdays. We did TV in the morning in Melbourne, or rather in Sydney, and we had to rush to the airport to make the airplane. And so we're going down one time, and there's 2 guys standing outside of a bar on the sidewalk, each got a couple of mugs of beer. And we were dying of thirst because we just had to rush, take a shower, jump in the limousine, and go. Mm-hmm. And the planes were kind of waiting for us. So we get down there, and we pull up on the street here, up alongside the curb, and I forgot who was in the car with me, and he says, "Can we buy a couple of those beers?" And they recognized us. They said, "Hey, you're the Yanks, you're the wrestlers." And we said, "Yeah." And he said, "No, take them." So boom. So the following week, we're coming down in the limousine, the same thing on the same side of the street. They're already out there waiting for us. They knew when the taping ended. They must have researched it somehow, and they just said, "Nope, our compliments, mates, go." And they knew that we were rushing for the airplane. It was kind of cute. Dick Steinborn and I were the last 2 to get on the airplane, and Barnett had enough influence to hold the airplane up, to keep it from leaving, just to wait for us, right? So that we had a special gig where the limousine would pull through the gate and drive right up to this commercial airliner on the tarmac. And so Dick and I get out of the car, and the trunk pops open, and they got guys getting the trunks out, putting our bags on the airplane, right? And the engines are running. The cars and the airplane's there, and it's loaded up. All right, all the passengers are on, right? And so as Dick and I are walking towards the airplane, he says, "Dick, stop." He says, "Why?" I says, "When have you ever been so casually able to hold up an airplane and just by us shooting little innocuous bullshit right here?" I says, "Come on, now we can go." We get on the airplane, right? And we climb up the steps, and anybody that's on the airplane is looking out. Barnett, I don't know if you guys ever knew Jim Barnett, but Jim had a real wry, sarcastic, dry wit. As we get on the airplane and we're passing Jim, he goes, "Oh," he says, "a little conversation was cute."
There, you came across Jonathan Boyd. I think he was maybe on the first tour you did.
Yeah, but he was one of the Australian boys, right? Yeah, I never got to really know him that well. No.
Some other guys on the tour, Pampero
Firpo. Yeah, God, a real, truly unique individual. At one time, somebody said that his voice, when they had tubes at the TV stations, he could raise his voice to such a decibel that he could blow some of these tubes out. I mean, it was just phenomenal, and truly, guy could speak about 7 languages, Really unique individual.